There's 15 secrets credit card companies don't really want you to know. Haven't you ever wondered why your credit limits are low and completely stop growing for years sometimes? Or why your credit limit just gets slashed all of a sudden to a small fraction of what it used to be? And sometimes you sign up for a credit card mostly because of the bonus, but then a few weeks later, they raise the sign-up bonus for everyone else. Now you missed out. And we'll talk about how credit card companies can change a surprising amount of your terms of service on the exact same day they tell you about it, which could leave you on the hook for higher fees than you signed up for. So let's start with the fact that credit card companies don't want you to know about their terrible redemption options. Credit card companies use sneaky tactics to hide these bad redemption options from you and decrease the value of your points by 50% or more. Imagine you've racked up a ton of points dreaming of that big vacation, but then the credit card company dangles an easier, faster redemption option in front of you, like gift cards or paying your gas at the pump. That's tempting, right? But here's where the magic trick happens. These instant redemption options devalue your points. The company is essentially giving you less bang for your buck or point than if you redeem for their primary offer like travel. Moreover, these companies can be pretty slick about it. When you're paying at the gas pump using points, you're not showing a clear conversion, so you might not even realize your points are worth less. Plus, buried deep in the fine print, they might mention that the redemption rates can change without notice. Now, a translation for that is that they can adjust the value of your points on these alternative redemption options whenever they like. For example, with my Venture X card, I only redeem for travel on the Capital One portal because I know for a fact that I will get 1 cent per mile. Also, credit card companies use deferred interest to basically reach back in time and collect all the fees you thought you'd never have to pay for. An absolute ton of the store cards do this with their 0% interest plans. So imagine you buy an expensive item like an OLED TV and think you've scored big because there's no interest for it, let's say 12 months. That's awesome, right? Well, not always, because if you don't pay off every penny by the end of that promo period, they'll slap you with all the interest from those months, which can be a nasty surprise. Now, I remember using the Amco Car Care credit card. Oh my God, try saying that 3 times fast. I used that card to replace my transmission a few years ago that came with one of those deferred interest promotions. If I had not paid the entire balance before the 6 months was up, I'd be on the hook for 25% plus interest on a $5,000 transaction. That would have cost me about $625. Ouch. And credit card companies intentionally use points and miles and not dollars for their rewards to play shifty games with the value of those rewards. So these reward systems aren't always as straightforward as they seem. For starters, a point or mile with one card might not equal the value of a point or mile with another card. Now that's confusing, right? And then there's the fact that the value of a point or mile can change based on what you redeem it for, whether that's travel partners or statement credits. For example, Chase's pay yourself back redemption value seems to change every season. The bottom line is they often design these systems so it's hard to pin down the exact value of what you're earning, which can lead us to think we're getting a better deal than we actually are. Now, that's why I don't pay any attention to transfer values. I use my Capital One Venture X card for travel and redeem the miles directly on the travel portal and call it a day. No calculations, no conversions, just straight up what you see is what you get in redemptions. Plus it's coming with at least a 75,000 mile sign-up bonus right now, and sometimes more. Now you could get away with using this card as your one and done daily carry card and never look back, because along with earning 5 to 10x miles on travel, you earn a minimum of 2x miles on everything else. You're still getting into the exclusive lounges for free, TSA PreCheck for free, and 2 annual travel credits that effectively pay you $5 just for holding the card every year. So you can hit the link below to learn how to apply for the Venture X card. Now, did you know that credit card companies use a psychological trick called pre-approvals to make you think it means fully approved? Now, at face value, pre-approved sounds like you're already in, right? But here's the catch. It's not a guaranteed green light. Credit card companies know it raises the chances that you apply. So Credit Karma was fined millions of dollars for using the same tactic to drive signups for themselves. The term pre-approved can be misleading. It usually means that you've met some initial criteria based on a soft credit pull, and that's often done in bulk to find customers. Once you actually apply, the credit card issuer will do more detailed hard pull on your credit report. This deep dive can reveal details that might change your mind, like recently missed payments, high balances, or other factors that weren't evident in the initial soft pull. So when people see pre-approved, they might get overconfident thinking that they're locked in. But then if they get denied after the full application review, it's not just disappointing, it can also lead to a temporary hit to their credit score because of the hard inquiry. I've never been denied after being pre-approved, but experts say it gives you about a 90% chance of approval, which I say is great, but not certain. Credit card companies can decrease your credit limit and even close your account even when you're using your card normally and completely within the rules. A credit card company can absolutely decide to reduce your credit limit. You might be thinking, hey, I've been responsible, I've been paying off my card, but here's the twist. As you pay it down, they can keep reducing your limit, almost like chasing you down. So you might start with a generous $10,000 limit, but after some payments and decreases, you could be left with just a $1,000 limit available to you. This practice can hurt, especially if you are counting on that available credit to help you maintain a low utilization rate, or for emergencies or for large purchases. I'll tell you, this usually happens when you max out your credit card and leave it maxed out for an extended period of time. But wait, there's more. Credit card companies can in some cases close your account without warning. Imagine having multiple cards with the same issuer, like Synchrony Bank, for example, and one day they decide to close all of your accounts at once. This sudden closure can wreak total havoc on your credit utilization rate, which is a fancy term for percentage of credit that you use. If you had balances on those cards, your utilization would skyrocket because your available credit has plummeted. And a higher utilization rate can negatively impact your credit score too. So many banks really don't want you to know that many of your credit card terms are negotiable and that you can get a better deal for yourself. Most of us get a credit card offer, look at the terms, and assume they're set in stone. But that's not always the case. First off, that interest rate on your card, with a good payment history and some haggling, you might get it lowered. If you're thinking about ditching your card because of its annual fee, you can hold up right there. Before you do, give them a call. Often just hinting that you might cancel can lead to retention offers, maybe waiving the fee or throwing in some extra points. If you have any cards with annual fees, it's good practice to call in once a year without a month before your renewal date and check for those retention offers. So what about the monthly bill? If you've hit a rough patch, some card issuers might work with you on a temporary adjusted repayment schedule. And don't get me started on other fees like late payments or over the limit charges. While you shouldn't make a habit of it, a quick call to customer service can sometimes get those waived as well, especially if it's your first offense. Now, credit card companies like to hide the fact that their highly touted bonus categories are significantly worse than advertised in the fine print. At first glance, many credit cards offer big rewards like 5% cash back on groceries, but when you dig a little deeper, you might discover that not all places where you buy groceries count in that category. Take big box stores like Target and Walmart, for example. Many of us pop in there for groceries, right? But a lot of credit card companies don't categorize them strictly as grocery stores. Instead, they're seen as big box stores or superstores. So when you're at the checkout line with your cart full of steak and crab legs, you might not be racking up those grocery rewards you thought you were. Now, ever since I moved to North Carolina, I've been primarily shopping at Walmart, so I'll be using my Venmo credit card there since that codes big box stores as grocery stores and earns 3% cash back in my top spending category. That's a pro tip for you. And credit card companies also won't tell you that you can have duplicate cards and literally get double the rewards in the same categories. Now, two that come to mind are the Citi Custom Cash Card and the US Bank Cash Plus card. There's some people with 3 or 4 versions of those cards. I personally have 2 Citi Custom Cash cards myself. What you'll need to do is sign up for the first custom cash card and then product change an existing card like the double cash card that's at least 12 months old into a second Citi Custom Cash card. Next, credit card companies like to keep secret that their cash advances feature is locked down 6 ways from Sunday, and the extra fees always make it a bad deal no matter how much they like to advertise it. Firstly, these cash advances often come with a higher interest rate than regular purchases. But wait, it gets worse. Unlike purchases where there might be a grace period before interest kicks in, cash advances start charging interest from day one. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, there's usually like a 3% fee just for taking the cash advance. So you're paying extra just to borrow your own credit limit. Now, speaking of limits, you often can't take out a cash advance for your full credit limit. They cap you at 20 to 30% of your limit. And don't even think about earning rewards on that amount. It's a bad deal all around. Credit card companies hide the fact that this whole credit card industry is propped up by every living person in the United States. The cost of using credit cards trickles down to all of us. Imagine a busy marketplace where everyone's buying and selling, but there's a hidden device taking a small fee from every transaction. These are interchange fees, typically around 1 to 3%, that merchants pay to credit card companies for each credit card transaction. And merchants aren't just going to absorb the fees out of the kindness of their hearts. Instead, they'll often raise the prices of their goods and services to cover this cost. Every one of you guys pays this increased price, regardless of how you pay. So even if you're paying with cash or using a debit card, you're still shouldering a part of this interchange fee cost. The huge difference is us credit card users earn rewards and everyone else just pays more. So using a credit card is the only way to truly come out ahead. Also, people are always shocked every time credit card companies change their terms and services overnight. So let's say you've got a credit card and you think you've locked in a set of terms, right? Think again. Credit card companies have a sneaky little provision that lets them change the terms with a surprisingly short notice. While they're required by law to notify you, it's often in the form of tiny fine print tucked in an envelope that looks suspiciously like junk mail. And these changes can be broader than you might think. Interest rates, yes, those can go up too. Your rewards program, they can raise and lower or even cancel certain perks as well. Capital One recently lowered the amount you can receive for price drop protection on trips for their Venture X card to just $50, and Amex just massively increased the price they charge for their authorized users on the Platinum card to $195 per person. You got to keep your eyes peeled with all of these companies. Also, credit card companies don't want you to truly know that you spend more when you use credit cards, like way more. When people use credit cards instead of cash, there's this psychological effect that happens where it feels less real than handing over cold hard cash. So with a card, you might splurge a bit more since we don't immediately see the money leaving our hands. A study done by Dun & Bradstreet found that people spend about 12 to 18% more when using credit. Another study done by Bank of Boston says the average value of a cash transaction was $22 compared with $112 for a non-cash transaction. It's really easy to spend other people's money, and it's hard to spend your money. I get it. Next, credit card companies won't tell you that you should be asking for much higher credit limits on your applications. Many folks think they need to tread lightly, asking for just a small bump in credit limit, like $1,000 at a time. But here's an insider tip. You don't always have to be super conservative with your request. When you put in that request for a higher credit limit, it's not like there's an alert that sounds off if you ask for too much, instantly denying you. Instead, if what you've asked for seems a bit too ambitious for their liking, they won't necessarily shut you down. They'll just come back with a counteroffer, essentially a number they're more comfortable with giving you. If you ask for less, they'll just give you less. They know exactly how much they're willing to give, but they want you to go through the motions and ask for it for some reason, maybe hoping you'll ask for less. That's why I asked for the absolute highest known limit for any given card. The logic is simple. By asking for more, even if you don't get exactly what you requested, the counteroffer might still be higher than if you just asked for a smaller increase initially. I've done that every time I apply for a limit increase on my Venture X card. And just a few days ago, I increased my limit on that card by $1,000 to a new high of $24,000. But let me ask you this. What if you never had to request a credit limit increase and you just automatically started at your desired credit limit? That's why I made this credit limit increase cheat sheet, so you can see your starting limit before approval and before any hard credit pulls. Just hit the link below to download it. You know, there's a few secret reasons credit card companies want you to work for your rewards and clicking as many buttons and logging in as much as possible. When credit card companies ask you to activate bonus categories, they're playing a psychological trick on you. Here's the deal. By making you take that extra step to activate, they're ensuring you're engaged and thinking about their card more often. The more you think about it, the more likely you'll use it, right? And every swipe means fees for them and potential interest for you. So essentially, if you forget to activate, you miss out on rewards and money. And then if you remember to activate, you might just end up spending more than you planned. You really lose in both cases. So while it seems like a fun bonus game, it's actually a clever way to keep you reaching for their card. And credit card companies like to hide all the shortcomings of their travel portals that leave you with headaches on your vacation. Credit card travel portals offer a handy way to book trips using the points you've racked up, but here's the deal. They might not always show every flight or hotel deal out there. And sometimes your points might stretch further if used elsewhere. Plus, if there's a hiccup with your booking, sorting it out can become a game of ping pong between customer service teams. Additionally, you miss out on loyalty points and benefits with the hotel or airline. And this is probably the most closely guarded secret of the large credit card companies. They use a process called bucketing to make them look more profitable to shareholders, but it leaves their cardholders in a position where it's extremely hard to increase their credit limits. So these credit card issuers have this thing where they group us cardholders by how we spend and pay off our debts into these different large buckets. That's called bucketing. They then group these buckets of debt and sell them off as an investment product, kind of like trading cards, to investors who hope to make returns from our monthly credit card payments. Now, that's cool for the credit card companies since they get quick cash and offload some risk, but we get the short end of the stick. When credit card issuers bucket cardholders into different groups based on their credit behaviors, they're essentially predicting how these folks will behave in the future based on past performance. Even if your own habits improve over time, the issuer might still be hesitant to increase your credit limit because on paper, you're part of the riskier group. This bucketing can trap some into lower credit limits, even if their individual credit worthiness suggests that they deserve more. To learn more about this bucketing process, like how do you know that you're actually trapped in a bucket? And once you do know, then how do you escape your credit bucket? You gotta check out this video next. Thank you for watching.